He's a TI that has come forward with deeply concerning information about Scott Adams, the Dilbert cartoonist. He has a keen sense of smell. He kept smelling certain things in his house, so he looked up what that smell might be, and it's referred to as smokeless burns brought on by spirits. His house was flooded less than an hour before he left to Bastrop, Texas. He has recorded smacking noises. He has endured lots of timed electrical disturbances, like the turning off and on of lights where there weren't any before. His shower faucet that was turned off by itself, which he still can't quite figure out what the purpose was, other than to show Scott the universe is in charge. He's felt other presences inside his house, and a God wall, a wall that he removed wall cushions from that left deep marks foretelling what Scott would do, which he saw the premonitions. Scott never believed in these things until they happened to him, and he believes that's why he's in the situation he is. Anthony, thank you for being here today to share your story about being targeted. Let's get into it.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on, Kimberly. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I have a timeline that includes as much as I could gather up. It's been a really trying year and 4 months or something. I'm still connected, so I still have the agents in my visual field, but they're reduced to making silly movements and things like that. And I've pretty much messed up the LLM that's attached. The chatterbox, I believe, is what it's called.
Okay.
I don't have all the professional names for it because I don't know much about V2K, to be honest with you, or the or, I don't have a I haven't had time to dig into it. I only have my personal experience and then what happens around it, and then I've been trying to grab. So like I just learned Chatterbox, which makes complete sense because it has you continually running, getting you to talk.
Yep.
Um, so I have basically it is a telepathic program, but after they've already introduced the voices via the is it the V2K that actually sends the voices into your head? It is.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
they do that first, and then when they do when they send the DEW, the microwaves through you, you know it because you start hearing a popping sound. And none of this stuff I looked up before. I considered conspiracy theorists. I didn't believe in telepathy, conspiracy theorists. I've never watched any show on like occults, nothing. I just knew when I read his book that he was an occultist, and then that's when he threw me under the bus after that.
So
But
you're referring to Scott Adams?
yes, I'm
Yeah.
referring to Scott Adams. Yeah, um, and you can hear the popping noise and stuff like that. But I mean, I go into that later on here. I have a huge mind map that I'm still trying to work on because it gets into it very scientifically. But basically, the same reason. What amazes me is that when he was trying to court me, well, I believed he was trying to court me for a specific kind of position at X. And it turns out that when I look back at his book just recently, I said, no, this for sure was the position of a servitor. So basically, a person that you charge like a battery, which he talks about all the time. He always talks about batteries, a fascination with them. And you charge them like a battery, and it's like a sigil, and you basically their whole use is to serve you information and to eventually for you to discard them. So that's exactly what happened with the program. um, and some people, if they have questions in their mind about what's going on, you might refer back to movies or shows that you watch. But uh, I made it sort of worse for myself with the telepathic connection because I didn't believe in any of it, like telepathy, occults, skull and bones, all of that
Yep.
stuff. I'm like, that's all trap. So then, you know, when you come across it, you have no idea, and it makes it so much worse because you don't understand what you're hearing, you know. But I thought Scott was a telepathist And when I spoke to him, underneath my lips, I said something about it being poetic. I actually lashed out at him, and I said, mm-hmm, like that. And I put my phone away, and then he said, "Yeah, well, actually, it was a gamble, and you won." And then he shut off my feed from locals because I was subscribed to locals. Now he has, and I have a lot of videos. He took a huge chunk and he left videos, and that's not enough for me because the way I connect things are, it's really good. So he should have removed a lot more than that. But the same reason why he threw me into this program was to steal my intuition because I was really good at making predictions, really good, and he said it was a superpower. And so he would change his predictions when I typed them out. I would say, no, it's going to go this way. You know, Penny's going to be let out because it only cost a penny because Minnesota was this, was out of control and things like that. And so we had sort of this back and forth um, with um, with me. He would say something and I would say something, and then he would change you know, his a message midway through. So this went on from the time I was in at Periscope. It started in Periscope, and then um, he started referencing my predictions. I don't know how much this will take up, but if you want to see this mind map, should I pull it up?
Yeah, pull it up. Let's
Okay,
share it.
so share screen window. Let me see here. It's this one here. Okay. Okay, so here's the mind map, and I'll show you how extensive this mind map is here. See, it's
Wow.
quite, yeah, because the events, Kimberly, are unbelievable. The amount of stuff that has happened in the last 2 years. Now, the apartment code here is star 6633, which has been changed. But it was like that for 26 years. And so it made me think that he had planned this all along and he had connected to whoever was here. But when you hear the story about how we've read the same books, how we uh, 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 we sort of shared a lot of views and things like that together, um, um, it's almost it is just the universe and God, which I did not. I was an agnostic atheist, and so before he threw me under the bus, and I was basically like, there is no God, but because I'm humble, I'm going to go ahead and say there might be, but I don't believe in one. And so, and his book actually masquerades as an argument for God, but he actually is snickering against the concept of God by the end of the book. And so I'm going to tear that thing down and analyze it because it is a piece that actually tells you exactly what he's going to do. It's a weird book. If you read it, it's unlike any of his other material, and that's
What's the
because
book called of Scott Adams?
it's called God's Debris. God's debris. Now, I don't want to get I don't it's just so easy to get convoluted because there's so much stuff here. So I'm going to try to control myself because on any one of these points I can sort of branch out. But I'll show you. It actually has a red cover, and then when he was making me think that I was going to go to X, then he actually changed the cover to this one right here. Oh, it's not going to. Is it going to let me do it? Oh,
I think you might have to stop sharing this one and then
uh,
share the other screen. Yeah.
okay.
And then you'll have to go back to the map.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. So, so this is God's debris right here, and this is a post that I made on X. Um, we can talk about X, but basically, I begged. I don't know how much you've seen on X. The numbers don't make sense. The subscribers. I put in a GoFundMe account, and not a single dollar has been donated. It was basically my roommate put in $50 for me, and people are reviewing my comment, but not a single dollar has gone in there. And I had some pretty cute pictures of my cat that I threw in there going, what's going on here? Because for I'm asking people for help, or and they're not helping me out, but they're staying consistent watching my content. And when I did the spaces, everyone was anonymous. There was no verified viewers or anything like that.
Oh,
Yeah, I have, the numbers don't add up. I have a bunch of cute pictures of my cat and tons of views and not a single like, which makes no sense. Because if you'll allow me, this is my cat right here. Let me see right here, and I'll show you why it's weird. Let's see here. Screen. There's my little kitten, Samia. Now they shot her with waves too. She was on my. You see, that's my little Samia. And so,
oh,
yeah, so I have little cute pictures like this of her in sock and stuff like that, and it makes no sense that it wouldn't get a like. I didn't do it for the like. I did it to try to figure out what was going on. None of my
shadow
messages.
banning.
Yeah, shadow ban. It's
Yeah,
actually a complete lockdown. It's
yeah,
not just it's a complete lockdown. I send messages to people and they never get returned, but yet they never block me. I'll send another message and they never block me, which is completely unusual for someone who is getting a message like mine where I'm talking about telepathy. You would normally just ban them. Not a single person, only one person from a year ago sent me something and said, like, are you the warrior or something like that? And I'm saying, I'm just trying to expose a program, and then their account got deleted. And their message was pure, like there was no bad words or anything, but yet their account got suspended. So I'm thinking it was someone that was trying to help me.
yeah,
When I outed Scott as an occult and I started going around talking to people who knew me on YouTube, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but there's some really high profile names that once this comes out and it is normal, I will, but I can't, I'm not going to do it right now. I've reached out to a couple of them and they send me cryptic things in their videos to let me know that they've gotten the message, but they're frankly too afraid, you know. And there's some people who haven't, um, who haven't reached out to me, that I reached out to them, and they specifically did not give Scott Adams when he died, they didn't say a word. Um, I reached out to Tucker Carlson, but he's got so many emails. The only reason why I'm mentioning him is because I don't think that he got my message, because he gets
yeah.
so much. But he recently did an interview with Cernovich, and when I saw Cernovich, who um, I used to I've seen him before years ago, and right now he was a completely different person, and um, and I saw Tucker Carlson talking to him and mentioned Scott Adams, but Tucker Carlson didn't come out and say anything good or anything like that positive about him. So maybe he forgot, but Tucker Carlson uh, knows about occults, and there's other people who know about occults too that I've been checking up to see if they said a word, and they haven't said a word, but yet they're talking about occults. So I'm not the only one. There's 5 total people that I have a list of that I can show you afterwards, that just between me and you, that are high profile people that have not said a word, and they've all delved into the occult stuff. So I was surprised when Elon Musk actually gave him a shout out, because while Scott Adams was throwing me under this thing shooting microwaves inside of me, Elon Musk had a program at Neuralink that Neural, uh, Elon Musk had a I'm getting interrupted. So they come out of the visual field. If you make a mistake on something that is personal, or because I've always held Elon in high regard, it leaves you open. So any mistake you make the visuals will come out. Um, so that's what happened right there. So I try not to respond out loud, because for most people it looks crazy, but it's not.
I know.
Where was I?
They don't have these patents on it for no reason, Anthony.
No, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so oh, he was coming out with a Neuralink called product called telepathy. And now the way he meant it, um, I guess if you wanted to make an argument for him, was that he was talking about a telepathic communication as far as a hardwired telepathic communication. But the way um, the way I the way I have no idea why he called it telepathy, but he knows because he's worth so much money, and he knows about occults, and he knows about super intelligence, and this is super intelligence. We have the worst of it. It isn't a computer, it isn't a hardware system, or even a server farm. It is a person who is sharing a telepathic communication with you and has their complete state protected. So in other words, it is a AI state protected, telepathic, telepathically backed system. And it doesn't matter who's behind it. You only need to have someone who has a strong enough belief in telepathy to be able to make that connection. Because all humans share a quantum entanglement with each other. So,
Yep.
when you have a friend and then you don't feel anything from them, and then they move across the country, you've been with them for 10 years, something happens and you feel it, right? You aren't communicating with them verbally, but you feel it. Well, they are literally feeling, um, they are hearing the communication from you through the vibrations in your body, because like Tesla said, everything, he said vibrations and frequencies and something else was what the universe was made out of. And so, and Christopher Langan, who I'm a huge proponent of his theory, because I saw that Scott Adams had basically stolen his concept and other concepts from chaos magic to write his book, and I noticed it right away. And so when I saw it, I outed him, and I said, "You took Christopher Langan's theory and you tried to make it your own, because in your book you say, oh, they literally came to me in one day, right? And while he was taking a shower or something like that." And I'm like, "No, dude, I heard about the CTMU before." So now the thing is, the book is about an avatar who literally knows everything. You will not find a single quote from Scott Adams about Christopher Langan, the smartest person on the planet in all his years, right? And yet he has a book that's talking about someone who knows everything and is helping the world, right? And that's because he stole this concept.
Yeah.
26 years ago, both of them were in San Francisco, and Christopher Langan was trying to push his theory, his CTMU theory, online. And while Scott Adams was in San Francisco at the time. Um, 26 years ago, I came here, and this is where things start to get weird. In 2001, I came to this apartment. In 2001, he released his book. The code on the gate was 6633, until we had it changed recently, which is amazing, because it isn't a joke. By the time if you're going to do a 6 as your first one, you get to the second one and you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't do 6 because it's getting close to 666, right? You don't
Yep.
go 6 and then the last one on a 4-digit pin for a gate code, go, let me split that 6 into 3 3.
Yep.
So when this was written, so when his book was written was when this building was coded. So I thought that I had been targeted all along, and I think it was just chance, because I think it was chance and fate by free will, which is, I'm a big believer in fate by free will, which is basically that God knows everything that is going to happen, and sometimes things happen that are so atrocious to humanity that God has to take action. And so when Scott, I had a grandma who had cancer, who after she took the COVID vaccine, she just went, within a month she was dead,
I'm
because
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she was doing perfectly fine. Um, and then she had a couple people, but I don't want to get into the family thing, because just in case they see this. But um, So, um, part of the wall, and I have some wood studs, is where they have you dig into the wall. And again, I had no idea about sigil and witchcraft. And so when they had me dig in the wall, I was hearing them. They were going, "There's something in there," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's a wall, you know?" And they, "No, go up to the right and to the left." And I'm thinking, this is dumb. Like I'm gonna dig right into uh, right into insulation.
Yeah.
And so I dug into the wall, and then they said, "Keep digging. There's something in there." I kept digging, 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 and then when I looked at the wood, that's when the faces started coming up. Now, it actually turns out that people with schizophrenia will actually see faces, and it has a specific name to it. And I'm gonna get rid of my gum. I'm gonna get rid of my gum because
Okay.
I have myself smacking. Sorry about that. If it was
That's
coming
okay.
across the smacking. So they actually will see faces. This this is actually the program that's putting out um, faces, and they were really in depth, not like anything you would hear from a schizophrenic. There are people burning in hell and things like that, but once you look at the wood, the program displays through I'm not sure how it works quite yet, but you'll
Right.
see that this is exactly what it works. I do know they use a particle physics engine um, because of how it showed up in my eye previously, which I'll go into. But when I looked at the wall, there was faces, there was people burning, there was, and one thing that was interesting, which let me know that this was all programmatic, is that there's lines in wood, natural lines, and there was one where Satan went like this, and then he comes out more, 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 which to me is not something you do on your own, right?
Right.
It is
Yep.
way too programmatic. And so I actually have a history. This is what blows my mind about Scott Adams. I have a history of unveiling bad AI. You know, like that was what I thought I was going to do. And that's why he tricked me into believing that I was going to have a job at X, which I have no belief whatsoever that I was ever going to get a job at X. It was strictly to do this. But I am the one who, when Trump was getting elected, I did and I'll show you here. I saw this photo that had been out for months, and I said, um, okay, I just said Trump, so it said you're dead, and so we're going to go ahead and leave that out, and it's all day long. But when I'm communicating with you, it puts the program off because even though we don't know each other, we share a quantum entanglement pair, and
Yep.
so our states are open because we are communicating, you know, telepathically. Even though I'm seeing you on the screen and talking to you, we still share a telepathic connection, and everything that I'm talking to is purely AI.
Yep.
It's all AI. You're
Yep.
not going to reach the bottom because there's a prosthetic that is dampening the vibrations that's reaching the telepath's ear. And they can be playing a video game and not even hear you. Now, they can't hear you because the reason why no one has ever done telepathy is because it takes so much time. I have no idea what it means, but I would gather on the somewhere around hundreds of thousands of hours to even get a decent communication, because you have to know the person so well, their intuition, and you have to sort of run into them, right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
audio signals do not run through the air, so you have to connect with them that way, and then share messages. And just by chance, if you say, "What were you thinking about?" And they'll say, "Oh, I'm thinking about this." Well, no, it's because you've been with them so long that you knew what they were going, you know, you sort of had an idea, right? Like when you feel somebody across like that. Um, so let me show you. So it's done through vibrations and through the way you think with somebody else, and also the eardrum. Now the program
Yes.
kept telling me it's through the eardrums, right? And I
Yep.
was like, well, I felt the vibrations were crazy in my face, and they were connected to each word. And then when I tried to videotape it, I said they were going crazy, and I had my recorder like this, and I knew that they could see out of my eyes. So I went to record it right quick, and then it went all the way down. And all you can see is like a ton of twitches in my face, but each one of them was connected to a word. Have you heard this before?
Well, sometimes they make my mouth like quiver a little bit
Uh-huh.
when they're wanting me to say stuff. But as I said before in email to you, I set my boundaries with AI. And I tell AI it's not allowed to collect my data or harvest my energy. And I've been able to get quite far with that, until I get these implants out of my body. And so you also had luck using that wording, right?
Yes,
AI.
I did.
Yeah.
And then it, yeah, and then unfortunately it comes back every solution that I come up with, it reduces the perception of a telepathic communication, and then the sound goes down because it's all done through external noise.
Yep.
So yeah, so I did, and I thank you for that. Um, I tried repeating it, and you know, I actually have a statement that I made to the occult that I was going to read out, but I mean, maybe I can read it later. But basically, this is my mission to take down uh, this this software, which is atrocious. That people aren't talking about this across the nation. It should be
Yeah.
number one. It should be number one that you can connect with somebody. Scott connected with me because straight out of fear, which I'll talk about, straight out of fear, and I didn't even believe in telepathy. That is horrendous because that means to me that anyone can be connected so long as you got money and you know who's got this technology.
Yeah.
It's really
Absolutely.
bad. There's nothing worse on the planet. This is why I can't believe that my account, my ex account, has been literally shut off from communication. Nobody has ever responded to my posts, and yet they're continually. That is unheard of. It's
Yeah.
unheard of, especially the level of stuff that I'm talking about here, and who we're talking about, Scott. Now check this out. The day that he died, I got 65 views on a post that I made within 4 minutes. 65. And whereas before, by the end of the day, I would have like 10. 64. And after an hour, I had 150 something views, which I have it. This is basically the occult saying F you, right? That's what they're
Yeah.
doing. They're F you. Oh, you're not getting your message out, but we just wanted to drop in and say F you. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yep.
I don't know how to take it any other way.
Yeah.
Um, so the reason why I'm so amazed that Scott went after me was because all the signs were there that I was the last person, or let me be humble, I was one of the last people that you would want to throw under this. The reason why he let up on the software was to let me write. So I would write, it was like a modern day misery. I would write and the LLM would be quiet and I would be just as stressful. And then when I would say, no, I don't like what you're doing, I don't like it, I'm not going to play, I would get up and then it would ramp up, we're going to kill you. Get your, start writing, we're going
Yeah.
to kill your mom, everything. And then I would say, I'm not going to do it. And then uh, uh, at the point I was such in a state that eventually I would relinquish because I was so afraid, and then I would start writing, and then it would stop. Right? It
Yep.
would stop. Even thinking about stressful things, it would stop. So these are some things I have, like I'm right now, and I'm going to detail it just as soon as because I believe in addition to being productive, that the universe requires prudence, and I don't have the safety right now to go after uh, another big entity. And so I have information on a big entity that I will come out um, with very soon. And I actually had it with somebody who has a lot of safety and would be able to come out with the program, and then it would be a prudent move, and then I would say, oh, okay, um, then they would come out with the information, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of a side thing, but so I'm kind of a whistleblower, but but I didn't, I'll just leave it like that.
Okay.
But in addition to that AI program, which is going to blow your socks off when it comes out, and if this person does not get back to me, Kimberly, then I will do it on your show. And the
Okay.
pictures I will show you, they are proof, they're complete web pages that you're going to drop your socks. And this is when the AI just started. So, but for right now, I'm going to let this person because, you know, um, because of the security issues, they have security. And so I don't want to overstep my boundaries here uh, because of the God wall is specifically mentioned Scott Adams. And when he looked at the wolf, when he saw the wolf and the sheep, which you saw, he looked at it and he had this really quizzical look on his face, and it was weird to me because for me, I wasn't into it. I knew he was tapped into my phone, but I'm thinking to get away from this program, I'm going to I'm going to play ball. So I knew he had hacked in my thing, but the thing is that I was basically Stockholmed. He held it over my head and never ever gave me any information,
Yeah.
any answer on it whatsoever. And so when he saw it, at this point, I was not upset at him yet. And I posted it on Locals in the middle of his podcast, and he looked at it, and it was not a face that I expected. And I'm really good at reading body language. I used to, I used to be able to tell you what people would do on on camera, right? And then Scott Adams would say they're doing this, and I would say no, they're doing this instead, and then it would end up being what I was saying.
Yep.
I was always humble because I said I'm going to push Scott Adams, and I never took credit for anything. This is what's amazing to me. I never took credit for anything. I told him you can use my jokes, man, because he would make comics, and they would use um, bits and pieces of my comments, right? Sometimes like four words together or five words together, um, and they were unique enough to where I knew what he was writing about, right? Now he wanted this ability because I have a sort of like I'm a bit uh, 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 because I have autism in my family, and so I have a unique ability with words, and I'm really friendly. I'm like the least autistic person in my family. My family gets really like that, but even to the point where I say I don't have it, but I just got some of the skills from them. But
Yep.
I'm really good at word craft, and this is exactly what he wanted. He wanted my skill at wordcraft. So I've actually given this program all kinds of things, but my ability with words is really really good. But all the things that he threw me under the bus for, um, are going to come back and haunt him, and I'll
Yeah.
be showcasing a lot of that in the future. I'll show you another AI thing, and I've done this. Like I knew that ChatGPT was reaching out in the internet back when had open access to the internet and were selling information to the government. And I said, no, they're selling information to the government. They said, oh, no, we don't have open access. I said, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you're selling out to the government. He just looked like a weasel from the first moment I saw him because I'm really good at, you know, um, nonverbal communications. I don't do it with like friends and stuff like that. But when I look at somebody, I don't look at their eyes. It's everything else.
Yeah.
So he was really intrigued by this. And when I wrote it in the comments, I had no idea that I was setting myself up for what he would give to me. But I did this before the Trump campaign. I went into the I went into the man cave, which he's gotten rid of all of them because that's where the most damaging thing is. And his occult will be listening to this. The cult will be listening to this. And they're more than willing to come out with their man caves. They're not going to do it, Kimberly. No matter how far we get today, or with you, or how much this gets out, they will never provide the man caves, the ones that I'm asking for,
Yeah.
on a specific time because they know how damaging they are. But this is another one that he never said all he said is one ability. It's amazing how one person has the ability to change the world. when I gave him this, and I'll show you because this was months old from the Washington Post, and I will share this right here so you can see it. This is Donald Trump, which is, let me see, can I paste it? No, I can't paste it here. Paste it here. Let me see. Nope. All right. Let me see. So this is Donald Trump. Do the window, and so this one right here. So this one, you see it? This is from the Atlantic. Now,
Yeah,
when
I
you
see
look
it.
at this, yeah, it doesn't look like Donald Trump, right?
No, he's
No, it
got like
doesn't.
9 body doubles. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like 9 body doubles.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Mussolini in this, and I don't know a lot about dictators, but I immediately saw Mussolini because it looks like Mussolini to me, and the microphone is misshaped like this. So this is a horrible AI job from the
Yep.
Atlantic, and this was out for months. And when I went on, I said, "Hold on a second, I just found something, Scott," and I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I'm like, because he expected me, if I didn't show up to the man cave, he would be disappointed. When I finally logged in, he would be upset. So when I finally did this and ran this through AI detection and everything, and I found the exact photo that they had took from Mussolini, and I'll put this right here, and it is, they did work on it. Here, let's see here, this one right here. Um, so this is that one right there. So if you take this one and you reverse it 190 I'm sorry, you flip
180.
it,
Yep.
and you put it up close and you put a microphone to them, it is this. Also the shadows underneath the neck, right? So I was running through all these pictures, these Mussolini pictures. I knew it was a dictator. I didn't know it was Mussolini.
Yeah.
I knew it was the face, but I didn't know. So I looked through it and I said, this is the one. And then the next day, the very next day, the Trump campaign came out with it, with the story, saying, not going into the specifics of how the AI was doing, but the specific that it had used AI to make him look like Mussolini. And this thing had been out at the Atlantic for months. I think I said the Washington Post. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was the Atlantic. And so I was like, oh great, they got my AI thing, and I don't know how they got it, but I'm assuming that Scott, because Scott said, well, Trump hasn't actually contacted me to talk, and then I was thinking, well, that's weird because you stole the AI thing. How did they get it if I didn't talk to you about it? So
Yeah.
I'm positive they didn't give me any credit for it or anything, but no one has reached out to me regarding this AI program at all. All my messages are they're just dead on arrival. Um, and and I was speaking to one individual person who I believe was trying to warn me before I went over to locals, and he said he has millions of followers, and he said, I want to talk to you. Um, but then I got back to him, and then he hasn't gotten back to me. And I think this thing has gotten so bad that everyone who knows is fearful.
Yeah. They're shitting their pants.
They're shitting their pants. Yeah.
Yes.
Someone who isn't shitting their pants is Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan has had like 3 episodes, but he doesn't say telepathy. And I
Yep.
think telepathy is the word that those big time people will go out, they'll go after. Um, but it is my belief that if you know telepathy exists, that this program can't harm you because you
Yes.
understand where it is. You understand. You say that's not my thought. It's telepathic. Let me shut you down immediately.
Yep. Exactly.
All yeah. And so that was that one. And then I have the one that I'm currently I'm not involved in that. I actually stopped doing it when he threw me under the bus. This other AI program, and it's like a pilot program, but you're supposed to do this, and it's not about AI at all. And they're like, hey, you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And then I did this, and I saw this instead. And then I'm like, let me make drastic moves. And when you see the moves that I made, you're going to be like, I can't believe you did that. And so it was painful, but I did I did that because I wanted to uncover this AI. So Scott knows this. He knows that I have a talent with words, nonverbal communication, and discovering and unveiling AIs. For him to do this to me and think he could get away with me, that is crazy. But he was very successful in causing immense pain. The amount of visuals, everything, they cranked that bad boy up to 10.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so here's the problem with that though. They actually can give you a certain number of states, and these are things based on your psychological profile that they will sort of give you a lot or a little depending on how much pain they want to extol on you. But with me, it had to be up there at 10 because the guy was trying to kill me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then after all of this stuff, and he came down with cancer, and I when I found out that he had down with cancer later on, I sent him a thing on locals, and then he would stutter when I got on there. He would stutter because he came down with cancer right exactly when I was not on the internet at all. Um, and his program was telling me, "Oh, that pain on top, it's a tumor." It kept telling me, "It's a tumor. It's a tumor. We're attacking you. It's a tumor. You're gonna die. You're gonna die." And then he came down with cancer because the universe struck him down. The man
Yeah.
was immensely evil. When I show you what I haven't even gotten started on this guy. When I show you how evil he is, you're gonna say this man was a literal incarnation of Satan. Oh, but he's
Yeah.
gone, right? And so the program told me just let it go, and I'm like the program still exists. He passed it down to somebody.
Yeah.
And it ain't the four people that are on his because God bless their heart, they're just not. They don't. They're just not behind this. If you look at their podcast, there isn't. They aren't behind this. But there is one guy who is behind it. Behind it. And if you want to, we haven't even gotten to the mind map yet. Should I keep going, or is there something you want to share?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think you should keep going because the only time I figured out what Adams looked like was when he was apologizing to the non-vaxxers and telling everybody that we were right for not getting the bioweapon.
Uh,
So I thought that was interesting.
yes, that was interesting. Yeah, and right from the get go, I said I'm not getting this thing because of the rollout that they had.
Yeah.
Also, they were exculpated immediately. And if you give somebody an opportunity to make a ton of money like that, and then tell them, "Oh, you're not responsible," this is something we need right now, right away. They're going to skip corners like crazy, and it's probably not going to work
Yeah.
just because of the way successful vaccines work. So I knew that the pharmaceutical companies were just going to push something else, and I said, just take vitamin D. Everybody that I worked with in construction, I was working construction at the time, and I said everybody that worked in construction, they all work around each other, and none of them got COVID,
Yeah.
and they were out in
Exactly.
the sun. They were out in the sun. Now, eventually, a lot of them got COVID, but that's after the second one. So even I got COVID, but
Yeah.
I
But
still,
then you build immunity to it. So
yeah,
it's better than taking an experimental bioweapon, which they're not calling it that, but that's exactly what it was.
yeah, yeah. So I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't take that. Um, I have let's see here. Maybe I should make the case for this, or let me see here. Oh, here's a pigeon. Here's something. I guess I'll show you a pigeon that was left after he did the cannonball video. Does this let you show video here?
It should let you if you
Yeah,
share
okay.
it.
Okay, so I will show you the video dual messaging after I show you the pigeon that my roommate saw when she went outside after he made this video, 2 days after he made this video, this cored out pigeon, decapitated, cored out. And we live
Yep.
in an area where, you know, where there's a lot of Latinos, and we just don't, but there's just not a lot of spare cats around. Like if your kid wants one, you just pick up the cat and it's like our cat, so there's not a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
there's not a
Right.
lot of there's no stray cats or dogs. So there's no dead animals that are that are that have ever showed up here ever in 26 years. So
Yeah.
when this dead pigeon showed up, she's like, looked like what was outside our doorstep. I said, that's from Scott Adams. He's trying to put a curse on me, but it's going to fail because I don't believe in curses. Well, I was wrong, because that's when they ramped up the telepathic program, and I'll actually put the post that was on that was that I put up on X, and I'll show you the pigeon right here. Um,
Yeah, that was a satanic ritual when they
it's a
do that with the animals. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a satanic visual, and I kind of maintained that he wasn't a demonologist, but I may be wrong. Like, I think that he was a occultist, um, an occultist, um, an occultist, chaos magic, and also borrowed heavily from other occults as chaos magicians do. When it comes to capitalism of occults, chaos magic is it. They borrow from Christianity. They don't care as
Yeah.
long as it works.
Yeah.
Um, and so this is the one right here that is um, right here. So this is the pigeon right here that was left outside of our
Oh Lord. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So this thing has the innards emptied out, and it was laying right there,
And
and
no
then
head.
and no head, no head, and it's cord out. And I ran this thing because I said, would he put a real one there, or would he just put a fake one there? Because I'm thinking maybe it's just a fake one. And so before I show Kimberly this, or anybody this, I did this like a month ago. Let me
Yeah.
make sure this is real, and it came out real. So it's actually a real pigeon. And then he did this, when was it? When I was looking through his comments, just this is why I'm saying, like, this is God at work. This is universe at work, because I actually recorded this. I
Look
actually
at
took
his comment. It says a new perch. This
a
could be
new
fun.
perch. Yeah, a new perch. This could be fun. Now, that comment is not going to be related to me or the pigeon. It'll be related to something else, right?
Hmm.
Because his thing was to show you this is who I am, and let me try to hypnotize you into believing this is who I am. And if you're my enemy, this is who I'm pretending to be, and this is who I am right in front of you, because that's how smart I am, right? Because he said he was involved in Mensa, and he was 185 IQ. Well, I guess I have 185 IQ. So they say. And so his thing was like a psychopath, you know, to leave clues everywhere, because when you find them, you'll find out just how brilliant the guy is. So when I am done showing you all of the things here, you're not going to say, I cannot believe this guy went through this trouble. Synchronicity, the movie, the
Yep.
thing from yeah, you've seen it?
Yep. I've seen the
It's a
movie.
yeah, it's a pretty. Now I knew syncs from Union psychology with Jordan Peterson. He talks about Union psychology all the time, and I the program actually referred to a lot of things as syncs, but they're not syncs. They're just basically attention and energy transfer, like the muscles, spasming and things like that. These are things. Um, a lot of things happen once you have new senses like ESP that I didn't expect, and after being hit with the directed energy weapon,
Yep.
and so which he lay when I went on there afterwards, when I felt my muscles twitching. I went after that, and he's like, I have muscle twitches, and I take a banana. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you showing me how to get rid of this? Is it bad to smoke a vape on here?
No,
Can I
you're
do a
fine.
vape? Okay. I used to smoke, and I smoked at the vent right here, and the LLM had a hard time. Had a hard time trying to get me to stop. Try to get me to stop smoking, because I would gather up like strength there. I would smoke, and then I'd say, I would launch into these tirades at the wall, because I thought that's where the knocks were coming from. They aren't coming from the walls. They're actually lined up and your hearing is so attuned that you hear little cracks and things like that.
Yep.
And I would say the devil's always late because I would say something, or I would keep running into the LLM, and then it would be tied in with the knock. And so apparently I found out later that knocks, um, um, what's your cat's name? You have a
This
cat?
one is Hope. This is
Hope?
the little, yeah, this is the little baby girl. Her
That's a
name's Hope.
beautiful, it's a beautiful cat.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love cats. They're so in tune to you. They don't get enough credit,
Yep.
and
Agreed.
yeah. And my little one right here, she's not like any other cat, because she was with me when they were shooting the microwaves in there. And so when she looks at you, she has like a sort of stare, like there might be something wrong with her, but I love her, and she's my, she stayed with, she was with me during that time and provided me a lot of comfort.
Yep.
Um, so I'm getting so this a new perch. This could be fun. He leaves clues like this all over the place. Even in his book, he leaves clues like this all over the place. Which, if you wanted me to right here, let's see this. Uh, I need to borrow your UAPs again. Now this was a Dilbert. Now when I saw the program actually boot up, later on, I would say, okay, they're using actually a particle physics software,
Yeah.
because it was a haze and then circle right here. And he wanted people to think that it was from his calendar. And I will, if I have the calendar pulled up, I can pull it up. But right here, when a psychopath leaves a clue, I'll show you. When a psychopath leaves a clue, um, right here, right in front of your face to mock you, it's actually a floating circle in your left eye that shows up. And as you move your eyes, it floats to the left a bit. And the second one shows up next to it immediately. It doesn't need to happen. But in this case, Scott wanted me to believe it was his power of suggestion with the calendar that had me produce the orbs in my eyes. Now, a lot of people got their calendars. I got mine very, very late. And right here was, when was this? November 21? This was within I actually wrote a post about this. It was either within 4 or 7 days of seeing the unidentified aerial phenomena, right?
Yep.
And I didn't know what that was because I didn't know anything about orbs, like
Yeah.
spirit things. Don't know anything about Harry Potter. I don't watch movies or shows or anything like that. So I
Yep.
was completely blind to this stuff. So I just told Jess I saw circles, and I thought I thought they could be spirits, and I'm
Yep.
like, I believe in
I've seen
spirits.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I looked at at his calendar, it was unlike any other calendar. His 2023 calendar, I believe, it was like unlike any other calendar before, which is the words were coming out of the bubble, and the three characters in the middle were hypnotized. Um, and so when I saw the calendar, I went on and I said, it's coming from the calendar. The calendar is the suggestion. Now, basically, that is the show above the show, which is what I call for Scott Adams. So it's basically I'm putting on a show, but then there's a show above that. And I just want you to see that show, right? And
Yeah.
it takes somebody who works really hard. This is all their basically, this program, this sim, was what he worked really hard at. And you would see him in the beginning of episode, he would get so upset at his printer. And the guy's a mega millionaire. Well, he has 20 million now, but he had
Right.
60 million a year ago. And he alluded to the fact that he had even more of that before. So I don't know where that 40 million went. I don't know if it could not have went to experimental. So he offloaded a lot of that cash that
Yep.
he had. I don't know where he did it, but thankfully he's not here. But um, so this is, I need to borrow one of your UAPs again. Do you want the Tic Tac, the glowing orb, or the floating bagpipes UAP? Which is the best for conquering a small nation? That depends. Is it Scotland? So he doesn't need to ride this. he doesn't need to write this comic book, this comic right here.
Yeah.
But um, but if you look at the events around this, they're probably around some kind of UFO thing, maybe.
Yep.
No, I'm
Yep.
not really sure. Is it? Okay. So they're around some kind of universe. So he always had two reasons for putting out something. One was to talk to you if he was targeting you. And there was a woman who came in who said, "You're not the only one." When I went on and I said what Scott was doing, she said,
Yeah.
"You're not the only one." And then it is the one that everyone else is supposed to see. And so this is here, right here. So I guess we can show this video here. And this is I call it the famous candidate. This was brutal, absolutely brutal. This took me down, and I saw it coming because I'm really good at nonverbal communication. And he looked in the upper left monitor when he would be referencing me. That was his cryptic communication to me.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I didn't have a separate monitor, but I think I could not have been the only one. But it kind of makes me think that I was the only one because he would only look up there when it was things that were referencing comments I made, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I made a comment and then he would change his comment, he would look up to the left like that. In other words, to go, I see you. And you'll see he looks up here. He has a monitor here, he has a cell phone here, and then he has a monitor here. But you'll see that he looks up during certain comments. He looks up to the upper left. He's looking at nothing. But you'll see that he's intentionally looking in the upper left.
Okay.
And so this is the double messaging that was brutal. Now before this was the tumor one, and it got deleted from my computer. A lot of stuff got deleted from my computer. My phone got my files that I had from
Yeah.
backup
They like to
showing.
hack stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Showing the whole production that he had in Bastrop, and that's going to knock your sock. When I tell you about, and there's people out there who have video, and they will come forward because they were taking video, and I'm pretty sure that they told them, do not take video, just act. And so they were walking through. My name was Cobalt AGC, and so they were hundreds of people walking through the airport when I was trying to get out of there with Cobalt blue shirts. Okay, and a lot of
Yep.
them were acting like they knew me. They would look like this and they knew me, and I'm just walking and they're looking at, and I'm going, and so now I'm going, there are people out there with, this is going to be inevitable. Like my whole thing is to take this guy and to show who he really was,
Yep.
because he had so many people say, you know, um, well, what a great guy. We lost a legend, and I'm like, you do not know this level of evil, like
Yeah.
this calculating evil. Let me give you another example. When I do vapes, right? I smoke vapes, and I used to smoke one that was called a flume. And I went to over here, but the telepath knew where I was going to go, where I get my vapes from. And so when I got it, the guy from the smoke shop takes me to the back to get a flume, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to, and he's not worried about me taking off with everything. So Scott actually paid the guy to plant vapes, probably not more than one, that would be dumb, numerous vapes, flumes, and so that I would think that I was being um, poisoned, uh, 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 being
Yeah.
drugged with PCP, right?
Yep.
Um, which is also a mystic, it's also something from chaos magic, PCP. And the program was telling me, it's PCP, it's PCP. It was not PCP. It's the program starting the visuals and getting the swirled, starting with the swirls. And you're so receptive to that state that you look at people and you end up putting yourself in a psychological state that makes you think you're being drugged, and it only gets worse and worse. Now he had control of my network um, through a man in the middle. And I know this because when I finally looked at the vape and I said, this thing is drugging me. I said, this is a PC, there's something in this, right? And then I was thinking PCP, right? And then because the program told me PCP, like I had no reason to think it was PCP, but
Exactly.
it's
Yep.
disassociative, huh?
Yes, I said exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a disassociative. And so when I looked at the vape, I have it right there. There was two on the sides, there's two little tiny notches, right? And he knew that I would look at that because I look at everything, and or as much as I possibly can. He knew that I would look at it and see those little notches and go, he pried this open. and he drugged this. There's no PCP in there. Later on, I would find out that it was actually it actually is an induced state by the visuals, along with the telepathic programming that you're running into because you're in fear, and it actually induces it. And Sean Ryan talks about the Chase Hughes talks about this, all of this stuff. So when I saw it, I'm like, thank you, because they don't say telepathy, but they go around it. They
Yep.
go around it. And so I was like, thank you, dude. Fear is the number one thing that makes this thing work, because you can't override the LLM. You basically have to feed it your material, your data, with everything that you've said, your comments and stuff, your whole psychological profile, and then passively receive the vibrations. You have to passively, the outside noise provides the voices, and then the vibrations take the outside noise. And on the other side is the telepath having their state protected so they can't hear you, because it would end immediately. You can't hold a telepathic connection with someone if they tell you to fuck off. Excuse my
Yeah.
language. You
Yep.
cannot.
Exactly. Yep.
So, and so, in order to prevent them from doing this, all they need to do is have an ego big enough and a cultish belief in telepathy to connect with you. And then once they connect with you, they cut themselves off. They can't hear anything. So they're wearing prosthetics and doing whatever they want.
Hmm.
And it's my belief that because Scott wrote a book about telepathy, masked as a story about an avatar, that he has multiple telepaths back there. Basically, they're sitting down and seeing that I'm still connected, so I'm sort of a pawn. He actually called me an experiment. When I saw the circles leave my eyes,
Hmm.
I went online. I went online and said, I remember on Naval's page that he had Scott Adams, and Scott was like this, and there's eggs going, or there's gray eggs going around, and egg is what he said to me when I told my Samia before I had my other kitten, and I said, do you want an egg? You want an egg? Yeah, I'm gonna give you an egg. Okay, and she loved eggs, right? Before I started giving her chicken and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so later on that day, um, he went, or was it the next one? I don't remember exactly, but it was within a day. He said egg, like that. He said egg, and then he knew I would see it and go, "Oh, what do you mean? That's like such an off-placed comment, right?" And then
Yep.
I said, "Oh, my cell phone is hacked," and indeed it was hacked because I couldn't get into my old cell phone to retrieve my pictures of Bastrop. But that was the show above the show. Okay, he was
Yeah.
telepathically connected to me, right? And that was just in case later on I would go, oh no, dude, you're hacking to me, F you. And then he would say, yeah, I hacked into your phone, instead of giving up the more horrendous program that's underneath.
Yep.
And so when he said egg, I said, you're breaking into my phone. And I said, this is BS. And then
Yeah.
when I had there's this when I hear you like there's pauses in conversations that shouldn't, that are so off. So if you're having a conversation with four other people, there's a natural flow to your communication style, right? And because I read a lot of books on nonverbal communication, and you have to have a lot to establish a baseline. But one thing that is a dead tell that something is off is when there is an unnatural reaction that happens outside the normal flow of a conversation. And so when he would laugh, he would. Sorry, I just got interrupted. So so for example, like Adrian Dittman, who is a person on um, the program is goading me to talk about Adrian Dittman, so I wasn't going to do it, but I'll go ahead and do it. So Adrian Dittman is a person who I sent the pictures of the wood to, and when I sent it to him, he said, because you're going to launch into threats, so they're threatening me. That's fine. So Adrian Dittman was a person who I sent photos of the wood to, and he's having conversations with other people on his spaces. And then as I'm posting him, he's going, "Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?" And then I'm responding, "Yes, dude. There's faces all over the wood." And this is when I thought there was actually the wood was changing, right?
Yep.
And I go, there's faces all over this wood. And then when before that, when I saw the orbs, I'm like, you're connected, dude, because I actually gave him pictures of the program that I'm involved in, um, um, because I thought he was Elon Musk. The guy sounds just like Elon Musk, and so I gave him, and he's yucking it up with the people that he's with, just laughing, going, "Oh my God, look at this! Like I can't believe this is happening." I'm like, "Yes, dude, this is AI that's being used on Americans."
Yep.
And I uncovered it, and I said, and then I found out that it was not Elon Musk shortly afterward, and I freaked out. And so I went to Scott Adams and I said, I just gave it to Adrian Dittman, and I thought he was just a person. I thought Adrian Dittman was someone else, and Elon Musk was talking. And then the next day, Scott Adams, before the podcast, says, "Yeah, private conversations should stay private." And he was saying it to me because there was nobody else he was reading it to in the comment section. And so so when I, so when I, so okay, so when I showed him the pictures, I said, I thought you were Elon Musk, and I was giving this to Elon Musk because this particular company has been known to do things to people, and I was like, this is not, I'm not safe, and because this particular information, Scott had actually held over my head. When I came to locals, I sent him an email, right? And when I came over, he was happy. As soon as I went in, he was like, "You're happy." He had a smile on his face, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm here." The guy who you've been, mentioning my comments and laughing at them in the comment section through
Yeah.
Periscope for 5 years now, 6 years now. And so when I got on there, I said, I'm going to give this program to him because it's being used against Americans. I'll just keep it short like that. And then if the other
Yeah.
person doesn't get back to me, I'm going to unveil all of it here. And once again, you're going to be like, are you kidding me? You know, I'll stay alive, hopefully. You see, the
Yeah.
reason the cult hasn't killed me yet is because of all this supernatural stuff here that has happened, and so they're not going to touch me because they don't understand it. They don't understand how Scott met up with me in the first place. It looks like fate, and then you throw in all the other stuff, and they know your natural reaction.
Yes.
It's like a truth thing. This chatterbox, it wraps you up in morality, and then it gets you to fumble over yourself. You know what I mean? So like if you, whatever. I mean, I don't have any moral issues. I have a clean background and everything. I've never, I don't have anything. So, um, but little things like, so for example, if you yell at your cat, it'll who are you? How would you do that? Why are you yelling at your cat? Like you're an evil. Are you gonna kick your cat next? Things like that.
Yeah. Yep.
It'll
I've
wrap you
I've
up in a
had that
moral
experience.
bind.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it'll wrap you up in a bind like that. So, um, I didn't sleep last night. I'm sorry. I could not sleep. I was thinking about this podcast, and the programs were bothering me. They did
Of
not
course.
go
Yeah.
through.
Everybody that tries to go on. I had one set for last Monday, and the guy, his name was Matthew, he didn't end up making it because this program will harass you to intimidate you,
Yeah,
to not come on my podcast to tell people what's going on.
yeah,
And so I appreciate your strength in pushing through that, even though you didn't sleep. You're expressing yourself eloquently,
okay,
and I understand when you get hit with thoughts, which is why I told you to use that protocol with telling AI they're not allowed to harvest your data or your thoughts. And
yeah,
that's helped me out tremendously. So,
yeah. Okay. The visuals things are the only thing that's keeping this thing alive, for me. Like I don't hear anything unless the visuals come up. And
okay.
so so I hear absolutely nothing. And then when the visuals come up, I've gotten used to using a particular vibration in my cheek,
Okay.
um, that I blanket out, and it's purely a mental thing. So I feed the LLM when I'm looking at the visuals. I will start vibrating this cheek really quickly, and I can control different parts of my face. That's why I said I don't understand why these people are going after me, Because when you hook up sensors to me, you're going to say, what are you doing with your body? Like I can do things with my face. I can program each individual face. Nobody does that. This
Yeah.
program so tried to destroy me, and it so tried to throw so many states at me that basically I said, you know, you're creating a machine, right? As soon as I get under sensors, they're going to go, this is programmatic. This is not psychological. You know what I mean? But they're so intent, and because they said you're dangerous. And I'm like, well, you're the one that went after me. I don't know why Scott
Yeah.
went after me.
Yeah.
And why are you still here? Like the guy threw a suggestion at me, and someone will come up with that video where he has said tumor. It's been deleted off my computer. I only have the one here where it started after that, and for all I know, they could have clipped it, but it is there, and somebody will come out with it, um, because it's tumor separated by a phrase, and then he launches into this right here, which I'll show you, just how brutal this guy was,
Okay.
and I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? Like, you know, you're not. Why are you saw what happened to Scott, and yet you're still going after me? Like the universe has told you to back off. You know, did the
Yeah.
guy is the guy okay? The guy you were talking about, is he okay? You were talking about a guy who was supposed to come on. Is he okay?
No, yeah. I think
He's
he's okay. I need to follow up with him and ask him.
hopefully
But
he,
yeah.
yeah, hopefully he is. Um, okay, so I guess I can play this right here for you, and if you don't mind, can I, may I use the restroom and refill my water? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I,
Cool. Awesome. Awesome.
I just noticed we were on live though. So, and we've got
Oh.
11, we had 11, sometimes 15 people watching. And I
Okay.
don't know why it does that.
Uh-huh.
It just, yeah. But share the video and then you can
Okay.
go and do the water
Okay.
in the
Okay.
restroom.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I'll share this. I guess it's presentation, right? Okay.
Step into the empty hole of, what needed to be filled. I think Trump just says there's no president. You better start talking to me right away.
Okay.
And, he'll be polite, make sure that he's sworn.
Do you see that?
If stuff happens.
Yep, I can see it.
You can hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
We can't hear it.
No, you might have to mute your microphone and I'll probably have to mute mine too.
Okay. Okay.
And then you can,
Okay. I'll mute it.
The empty hole of,
Good.
what needed to be filled. I think Trump just says there's no.
can you make it a little louder on
Yes.
Rumble?
Absolutely.
And, he'll be polite and make sure they get sworn in before the serious
Is that
stuff
good?
happens. But it certainly makes sense that he's
Can you hear
being
it?
really serious and doing real
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Now,
Maybe mute your mic.
I can't tell you how
Okay.
much I love that.
Oh, I did mute
Like when
it.
I
Is
see
it still
someone
on?
doing more work than
I muted it.
we hired them for. So even though Trump is, he's a showman and he's a special kind of person, not like anybody else, the fact that in both his elections, he hit the ground running and he was presidenting like crazy before the swearing, I have so much respect for that. I just love that. So, I would like to also give you the following mental model and see if you agree with it. It's one thing to have an opinion. Republicans had a lot of opinions, and it differed from a lot of Democrats. But I think you saw Republicans do something that I'm not sure I've seen Democrats do. You remember when Roseanne took a bullet, so to speak, but then she came back. Now she has one of the more important podcasts. You know when the left went after Joe Rogan, and they went after him hard, and it turned him into the #1 podcaster in the world. And you've seen person after person who got canceled. Bannon took a prison sentence. He didn't go down. They took their best shot, didn't go down. I got canceled, didn't apologize, didn't go down. And by the time Trump took a bullet, and didn't go down, that's when you knew it was for real. Because we needed that many people on the same side to take a bullet and not go down. And some of the people that I'm talking about took a cannonball through the chest and didn't go down. And I think that makes it a lot safer for the people who have more to lose. You know, I mean, not everybody has the option of being as brave as you'd like to be. You may have kids, you may have a family, bills to pay. We have our responsibilities. But I think that the right-leaning side of the country bought their success by not going down. Jay Bhattacharya, yeah, Jay Bhattacharya. The people who didn't go down during the pandemic, they said, I'm not going to get the vaccination, for example. They didn't go down. They stood for it, and they said, you can do whatever you have to do, but we're not going down. The January 6ers went to jail for years, but they didn't back down. They didn't apologize. They didn't say, I'm sorry. And when they're released, and I believe they will be fairly soon, they, yet again, will be more people on the right who took a cannonball through the chest, never back down. So that kind of, Peter Navarro went to jail, didn't back down. Yeah, even Melania, you know, you'd expect Melania to say, can we have a conversation, Donald? Whatever you do not run for president for a third time. Wouldn't it be easy for Melania to back down and try to talk him out of it? No, we don't know what private conversations they had, but to me it looks like she's all in. Looks like she didn't back down. Her husband took a bullet. She still didn't back down. So there, when you see, you know, the Bill Ackmans pouring in, and you know, a lot of the tech leaders, when you see Elon Musk risked his entire fortune. You know, he risked everything, right? He risked everything. Didn't back down. Did not back down. So I think that maybe that's a power that the Democrats can't understand, can't see directly, and maybe will never fully appreciate. That if you have an adversary that you can put cannonballs through their chest and they just blink and don't go down, you might as well give up. Because we're not giving up. We're not fucking giving up. As I said in my post on X, they got, I guess, 2.7 million views so far. I waited 30 years for this. I had to shut my mouth for 20 of those years, but I didn't back down. I just waited. I waited until I had the tools to do what I needed to do, and I did what I needed to do. I'm very happy about it, by the way. Does anybody ever wonder if I regret getting canceled? There hasn't been a single second of my life that I regretted it. Not one time did I think, you know, maybe if I said it differently. Not once. Nope. Said what I wanted to say, took a bullet through the chest, didn't apologize, didn't go down. And now we get our President Trump. And that's the reward. The golden age is here. The golden age is here. Well, it was rather disruptive. I may have concealed from you the degree of effort that is required to recover from being fully canceled worldwide. It requires a little bit of work. A little bit of work. Joshua Lysak, very, very important. Joshua Lysak work, canceled worldwide. It requires a little bit of work. A little bit of work. Joshua Lysek, very, very important to that. So thank you, Joshua. I also had a really good year. Just in general, it was kind of a good year. All right, I'm going to talk to the locals people privately because it's a Sunday and we don't have much to say. But everything's different now. You can feel it. It's all coming together. I don't know who's authoring this simulation, but sure is going my way a lot. That's all I know for sure. All right, locals coming at you privately in 30 seconds for the interstitial.
Okay, so okay, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so here this is the dual messaging that I talk about. Now let me go ahead and now he says tools. You have to put all of these things right in a bucket. You never go by just one of these things. But this was specifically made for me because it ended with regret, said emphatically. Also, he says 30 years I've been waiting for this, and that is before that is when his book came out. There's nothing 30 years that he was waiting for. He used to be a hardcore left liberal, so he said. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's completely changed his views since when he had them, when uh, when when Donald Trump came in,
Yeah.
Which was a good bet, by the way, because it was 50-50, and he figured if I make that bet and I come out correct and go against convention, then I'll end up being known for it, which he was. He talks about the fork. I did not catch this. I'm going to look up fork and then something regarding LLMs. But it seems to me like I'm almost tempted, if you don't mind, I'm almost tempted to look up what this is.
Yeah.
For yeah, because is there a fork in LLM? I don't know enough about LLMs.
So share your screen and while you're looking it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going right here. Um, now, I have a password convention thing that I made up, created so not even I know what the passwords are.
Yep.
Uh, because my entire network was man in the middle. They took control of my network and everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into any of my accounts, any of them. I had to restart everything. Not my phone, not nothing. Man, when these guys go to work on you, they go to work on you. And I looked up Grok, and I said something about. I said my roommate can't get into her ex account because I said I think I'm being man in the middle, and I said go ahead, let's turn off the router. And basically it's I don't know enough about tech to know this, but it's basically a duplicate of your router and everything, and they capture all communications that's going
Yeah.
through it. Now my X account isn't captured, so I don't know why they captured her, but before it was captured, and so I don't know at what point they started silencing me on the account. But because I have deep knowledge of the program, that they brought it on themselves by keeping this program this long, especially after Scott went down. You would have thought they would have learned, but they have not. So let me put in my. I have a really good for anyone who's a targeted individual and has a telepath connected to you with the program listening to your credentials. It's a really good one. And I'll put that book back up. I removed everything from X because I'm like, it's not going anywhere, and I'm really irritated, and I'm not going to give you
Yeah.
the satisfaction of knowing that you've got me.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So I
Yeah. They
just saw
don't get the satisfaction. Yeah. I agree.
yeah, I just saw the password to this, so I'm screwed now. So now I have to go change it. When I tell you how they grab things, you'll see why even looking at the password is no good. It's
Yeah.
no good. So I accidentally just looked at my password, which is after this, I gotta go back and change it. So let me go at, where's at, man? Okay, so, Cobalt, at Cobalt, and, for anybody looking, don't bother looking me up on X, I have no profile. I removed everything. Let me see, Cobalt, Cobalt AC? Ugh, what, okay. Let me see. Is there a fork? A fork. This is really intriguing to me. Cobalt CA1 is what it was. So Cobalt CA1, CA1, and then we'll go here to at. Okay, and then let me see my password. Put my password in here. I put my password where it wasn't supposed to be. Okay, so here I am, and then two notifications, liked to Adam's cult. I get liked on things from women who have, and it's mostly women who have no followers and have people that are following. They have a ton of people that they're following, but they have no
Yep.
followers, which
Exactly.
is, what is that? I don't even
That's
know what that is.
I think that's a bot. I think it's a bot or like a stalker or, you know.
Well, the thing is that they have no followers. So if it's a bot and they're all what you would consider pretty women, if you look at my follower and they're following me and they'll have the most normal accounts. They're not asking for anything, they're not selling anything, they have regular posts,
Hmm.
and some of them will have zero followers, and I'm like, there's no way you don't have zero followers. So is this your way of just playing trick? These people love tricks, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
It's like they
It's a
had a
game.
board, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they had a board game and they have your name on a stack of cards, and they're just playing a game because they got nothing better to do. Just Valley boys have nothing better to do,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And so let's look up fork and LLMs. Fork and LLMs, because it sounds to me, and I can't believe I didn't catch this earlier, like he made a Freudian slip there. Fork, taking an open way, open, so that's exactly what it is. It's a Freudian slip. You see, forking LLMs, because he forked an LLM to create this one. That's exactly what it is. So he's amazingly bad at tells. Um, when he talks about AI, he'll do things like this. He'll point to his head, like when I was not before, but after I outed him, I said he's using an LLM. He will start scratching, like an LLM, and he starts stuttering, and it's like, why are you even doing that? You
So
know?
if the viewers don't know what large or what LLMs are, they're large language models, just
Yeah.
so that people are aware what he's referring to.
Okay, my bad. It's right here. Let me share this with you. So it's forking LLMs. If you put in forking LLMs, which I heard forking LLMs a long time ago. I did not catch it in the video. So I'm glad I caught that. You heard that Freudian slip, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he had a Freudian slip there. He talks about the simulation. He has a red and black, he has a red blanket that is that now there's a girl named Erica who has it on the podcast, but he said he was going to give it to a woman named Marcella. But when you look at Marcella, you're like, she is not the person that's taken over anything. Um, she's just not taking over it. He said Bill Ackerman to fill the hole. Now there's a bill in my program. There was a bill. There was a Carmine, which I believe is connected to Adrian Dittman because he's German.
Okay.
I believe. I have no proof of this. Well, they're so good. It's really hard. It's
Right,
really
exactly.
substantial. Yeah. And then Carmine, and then there's something named, oh, you're going to trip out at this. Owen Gregorian. I'll talk about Owen Gregorian, but first if you want to see, let's do so that people can see this red blanket that he talks about in his book. His book is about an avatar who is talking to another person who would soon become an avatar, um, a person who knows everything. Now, Scott has been talking about being immortal through a simulation. He
Okay.
wanted to have an AI sim that made him immortal, because he said, I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna die without having, my footprint. So he would talk about being, literally, he would say, being made immortal by having the AI there. Um, so I'm going to show this dual message.
Right away.
Okay.
Conservative pod right away.
Okay. So let's show so
Conservative
people can see it.
podcasters, I believe, stepped into the empty hole of, what needed to be filled. I think Trump just says there's no president.
So right here,
You
and
better
right
start
here,
talking to me right away.
calendar. Okay.
And he'll be polite and make sure that he gets
Okay.
sworn in before the
So
serious
you
stuff
can
happens. But
So you can see there that he has all his books down except for two of them. He wants me to see the stump. He knows this is what he wanted me for, but he's trying to dig a hole in my chest, and he wants to fill it with regret, the one word that I used on the grok, which has been removed. You can't find it. As a matter of fact, they deleted everything where you could track where where I was putting things regarding things that are involving him, like things from before. And one of
Okay.
them was regret. And so you'll see here that he has, well, with the picture that I showed up, he wants me to see the stump, and then he wants me to see the red cover book, the fact that he went from the blue cover book, God's Debris, to the earlier version of God's Debris. In other words, this stump is for you. I want you to see that, because he knew, because of the way my intuition works, that would start it, right? That would start the process. And then he's putting the red blanket here, which it's my belief that whenever he's attacking someone, he puts the red blanket here, because he said in his book, and also in the man caves, I might show up to your door one day with this red blanket, which means, you'll be the avatar. And it's basically to try to feed you hope, but it's not that at all. He's basically
Yeah.
feeding you verbal sigils, which are basically charging you. You're like a battery to him, right? And so it's literally like his little matrix plan that he was planning, only much worse than machines, because you don't see it. It comes out of nowhere, right? And so there was a man cave when he said, you see this? This red blanket? I'm going to just keep this here. In other words, you pissed me off. You outed me as an occult. And so you see this? I'm going to put this down. Now, so that's what the red blanket for. So he's talking about, he didn't go down. He had a cannonball to the chest. He
Yeah.
didn't go down. So
I heard
I
it.
see that, right. You
Yeah.
see a message of hope, but the person who he's attacking is only feeling what he's talking about, the gunshot, the cannonball. And then he puts in words there so he knows that, that it's for you, like regret, right? And then like the tumor beforehand, which started right after when he put when they put the pigeon, right after? I think it's right
Yep.
after, right when he put the pigeon there. So now what I wanted to show you is that he had a guy named Owen Gregorian. Now, if you go on you've never seen Owen Gregorian. Nobody has seen Owen Gregorian before.
Okay.
But it is the one guy who said in his profile, and it's still up, where he said, where he says, I work directly with Scott Adams, right? And he would do full length articles. And I remember looking at the articles and going, this guy posts entire articles, right? Like verbatim. And then Scott would have he would say, he would disagree with him on the X platform, right? Disagree with him. And that was it. There was no, how are you doing? Nothing. But then when you would go to would go to the man cave, right? Or before the show, when he would do the little tee off, he was like, oh, hi, Owen Gregorian, how are you? And it's like, why aren't you doing that on the X profile? Now, Owen Gregorian liked a lot of my stuff. And that is basically to keep me reading the script. The script is made to teach the LLM. Okay. Now, when I outed Owen Gregorian, and I'll show you why, because it is an egregore, which is another chaos magician, and it's his own egregore.
Okay.
It's a play off of my own egregore, which is a thought form. Now, the thought form is a collection of things that you collect from the servitors, the people who are supposed to serve, basically, and then they have an expenditure life. In other words, you're dead.
Hmm.
Thank you for your service, right? And then that feeds the thought form. Now, the way I connected it, the reason is because he says God's debris, number one, he calls people God's debris, and he calls babies creatures. And this has always struck me as odd.
Yeah.
And but when I looked at chaos magic and I saw thought form, and I said, this guy called me an experiment. After those things came out my eye, and I went on and I said, nice trick. I said, nice trick. And then the next day, as soon as I log in, he goes in the pre-show, which you're not going to find. And if I can run through these screen text and I can say, if you prove me wrong, show me this. They've gotten rid of all of it. Big chunks of when he was attacking me, it's gone because he
Yeah.
knew I would peruse through them and I would dissect them. So his book is called God's Debris, a Thought Experiment. We are the experiment. Me and other people with high intuition who he threw underneath to solely to suck whatever we thought. And then when we didn't do what we were supposed to,
Yep.
he would raise up the LLM.
Yeah.
And his level of ridiculousness went to where he would get upset at the printer. And he's like, oh, I can't print that damn printer, fuck printer, I'm gonna break this printer. And oh, I can't print my stuff. And it's like, you got $60 million, you know, you can't get somebody to fix your printer for you, you know. And then he's a really bad actor. So when it would come to really simple tech things, he would get super upset, like he was bipolar. And it's only made to fool you into thinking that the guy doesn't know about technology. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? Right. Yeah. So he would put on this show. Everything was for this LLM. When he says, I've waited 30 years for this is what he's talking about. Creating a hive mind that
Yep.
would live in perpetuity. So I came out, let's see, with this Owen Gregorian. Let's see here. And as soon as I outed this guy, as I was going, Owen Gregorian, wait a minute, Owen egregore. It's egregore. It's the thought form. It's the thought experiment. In God's debris, he says, God's debris is the thought experiment. This is why I said pathological people, they work in their minds consistently, and they're so in tune to their thing that you would think that they want you to see how brilliant they are, but I'm not sure if it's that or if it's they're so wrapped up in their head that they leave crumbs everywhere.
Yeah.
So
They're psychopaths.
yeah, they're psychopaths. So God's debris is us. We're the thought experiment, the ones that he would later throw under the bus. And the egregore is the thought experiment in chaos magic for anybody who's looking at it. And he borrowed heavily from that. And so as I said, Owen Gregorian, I said, wait, that's Owen egregore. And I'm sitting here writing it, and the program is listening to keywords. So even though the telepath behind you can't have their state closed because they can't hear you, the program is still monitoring for certain things. And then it's being, I don't know, either an engineer is getting his sum because uh, 40 minutes as I was looking for egregore, this guy comes out and starts coming out with posts, putting him outside, making himself human. And if you look at all his posts before, they're nothing like that. And I said, you overshot it, dude. You overshot it because the guy who was Owen Gregorian on the podcast, he never shows his face ever,
Yeah.
right? And his face is of a guy on TV on Owen Gregorian. It's of a guy on TV, which I didn't even know who was Kiefer Sutherland. Kiefer Sutherland, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So that's Owen Gregorian, and that guy's voice, that's just the voice. That's not Owen Gregorian talking. And the egregore is actually the AI. So when you read the script and Scott would have him give you likes so that you could read the post and it would align with the LLM. It's all about alignment, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all to steal your intuition, and then if you happen to make it alive than to never let you go because it has so much of your data. And so when I outed E. Gregorian, the guy, basically I outed an LLM because the guy voicing it knows what he's doing. He knows he's not Owen Gregorian, but I basically outed an LLM. But these are very human responses, so it tells me that somebody else jumped in and started posting things, putting themselves in the outside. Now let me see here. The Count or Gregorian, I'll post this up here so that you can see. Right here, screen, right here, oh, entire screen. Okay, let's see the entire screen right here. And so this is, you're not going to be able to read that, huh? Okay, I'll read it to you then. Basically, I say, the account Owen Gregorian is one of the telepaths connected to me and presumably others targeted by Scott Adams. I can't find a single photo of him in public. Neither can you of Adrian Dittman. There's one photo you can find of Adrian Dittman, but photos get scrubbed off the internet all the time. So I mean, Adrian Dittman is part of a cult, and he's pushing the noetic order, which is probably a ground for grabbing people to join an occult, right? His occult.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I mean, noetic, you can just call it no ethics, because the guy has no ethics. I mean, he called me when Scott attacked me, and I went over there to his account. He masked a story in German, a German story, to call me a parasite. And I'm like, your guy's the parasite. He's the one that's stealing from me. I never asked credit from him. You know what I mean? So in chaos magic, an egregore is a non-physical collective thought form that emerges from the shared beliefs, emotions, and focused intentions of a group of people. In other words, data for the LLM.
Yep.
The Owen is a callback to Scott. The Gregorian is a play on egregore. So Owen Gregorian, as in my own egregore, here's the issue. Why so blatant? Plausible deniability. As we move forward, you'll find that this was Scott's specialty. If it were true, why would I be so blatantly open about it? Classic narcissism, or as Scott would say, not a real disorder. He said, not. The guy tells you who he is, and you think he's being salacious. And
Right.
so you're like, oh my gosh, he's telling you who he is.
Yeah.
So he says classic narcissism didn't exist. Gaslighting, if you look on Grok, you won't say what he said in the beginning. I remember when he said gaslighting wasn't a real thing, but then later on he ended up using it. Narcissism, gaslighting isn't a real thing. NLP, the very thing that can help you with this program, he called bullshit on NLP. Like one of the most self-hypnotism, because he wanted to hypnotize you, and he called it bullshit. The Kersey temperament test, which so many companies use, and it is really good for determining who the employee's personality is. He said it was bullshit, and I'm like, and this, when I wasn't arguing with him, I'm like, what are you talking about? The Kersey temperament test is like solid, like Fortune 500 companies use it, and so it's all made so that you become subservient to him mentally. So he's not being salacious. He's actually giving you. He's actually trying to manipulate you.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. Did you do any research to find out if he was like a 33rd degree Mason?
I have no idea about masonry or anything. No, I don't know anything about lodges or occults. I don't.
They are cults, but I bet you he was probably a Freemason.
So I don't
That's
know.
my guess, because these evil Masonic lodges have their secret societies, and they're really serving Satan by belonging to them.
You said 33rd degree masonry? I'm taking notes because I don't know anything about this. I haven't had time but to just deal with my.
Research and see if Scott Adams was a 33rd degree Mason.
Okay, well, he had a lot of money, so you will not find anything on him. I already know it's not going to be there.
Interesting.
Because he has a lot of influence. I don't know who he gave this program to, but it's still running.
Yeah.
So, and
we know.
yeah. And also, you know, what Jordan Peterson has gone through a lot of personal stuff. Scott's main thing was, are you a Christian? Are you emotional? And are you intuitive? Now, I wasn't a Christian, but so when I say Cernovich strikes me as somebody who has been thrown under, it's because of the way he talks about Scott Adams. It's just, I can't really explain it. I might go through it and show you, but he just strikes me as somebody who lawyers too. You know, Scott loves lawyers, and so there are lots of lawyers who are connected with this thing for obvious reasons. Um,
Right.
and Jordan Peterson was a hero of mine. Now Scott called him just, he's like yeah, it's okay that people are listening to him and things like that, He was never a fan of Jordan Peterson ever. Look at the content that he's saying about Jordan Peterson. Anything past when he attacked me, and you'll find that he was not. He just didn't. He just, oh, it's good. He's teaching young people about things. He said some things, but never somebody that you would give an interview to while you had cancer. Out of all the list of people that Scott Adams could give an interview, and he hardly ever did interview with, look at who he gave an interview with, and then -1 because he always had two reasons for doing anything. I'm just saying that because I know sort of his algorithm
Yep.
is to do this, and so there's probably going to be a couple other people that I don't know that have no intuition or anything like that. But Jordan Peterson is the prime person who he would attack because I mentioned him. I mentioned he was a hero. So when I was talking about Jordan Peterson here and I was being attacked, that's when he came out with an interview with Jordan Peterson. And he's sitting there and I'm like, the devil is staring you right in the face, Jordan. And I said, he's going to attack Jordan Peterson. That's what he's doing because he's evil like that. And
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson is a real good man and he's really emotional and he has excellent intuition and he's very well known. And I'm looking at this guy going, he's gonna attack you, dude.
Yeah.
And then after that, he comes down with a sickness, and then his daughter says, you are being he also there's some spiritual things. And I said, I fucking knew it. They're running
Yes.
it on him. They're running the LLM on him. And then when she came out and she said, Rip Scott Adams, it was basically so basic that I said, she may wonder, and then she's just doing it so that it doesn't get worse, but I am 100% positive because he did an interview with him and he has these little sneers, and there's no reason for him to give him an interview. And
Yeah.
that thing, by the way, even on his deathbed, he made it into a risk benefit ratio. Like he just couldn't even fake it that much. He's like, oh, I looked at the risk reward, for Christianity, and so I've decided to become a Christian, and I'm thinking to myself, and also he came out with this a day after I was writing notes for Chaos Magician. So this machine, even though it's protected by the person in the back who could be a 10-year-old who watches what is it, Harry Potter, for all you
Yep.
know. All they need to do is believe in telepathy, but it
Yep.
is being fed to somebody so that they can stop you at every track. A day after I said, wait a minute, Scott Adams wasn't just an evil guy, he was part of an occult running it. He actually is calling back to Allison Crowley. And so I'm writing all this notes, and a day later, he's thinking about converting to Christianity, you see, to head me off. So that's how it's done. Um, so the
Yes.
I'm expecting people to be in the comment section and maybe call me things, but maybe not because I'm expecting it. It's real trickery. The deception here is crazy.
I don't allow that on my channel, so they won't do anything negative in the comment section. I'll block them and I'll report them.
Oh,
And they know that by now that I don't put up with bullying and I don't put up with bullshit.
right.
And most of the people appreciate this channel because they know what is happening to them because first of all, most of them aren't evil. They would have never fathom doing this to a human being ever, and they're not in the club, obviously, And thank goodness for that. We aren't in your club, and we don't want to be in your club, but we surely know where we're going to go when we pass away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I didn't believe in God until he started showing up,
Yeah.
in very, very unique ways. Um, and and I will show the picture also. Now I have a timeline here because I've been jumping. I said I was going to go through this right here
We're going to have to do the timeline on a totally new one, I
on
think.
the new one. Okay.
Yeah, because that looked long and very intense, but good for you for taking the time to put it out and wrap all those people into your timeline. I think we all should do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it took me. It was actually pretty quick because it's so painful. But yeah, it's got a lot of things. This Bastrop thing is insane. When I got off, does any that Scott look? Did you see a Scott look alike?
No?
No. Okay, let me show you what was waiting for me, and the uh, uh, the um, I have the date when it went into my roommate's, um, when it went into her Apple account. I don't have Apple, I have Android, but I might now though. But when it went into her account, and I said, I just ended up in. I told her before I left here, I said, we got to get the hell out of here because they're going to kill us. And then she says, why do you have to go? And I spent a lot of money on that ticket because this fucker had me blow money just so I could go there to Texas and make fun of me. And he
Yeah.
actually led me to X, and the dates were pre-selected for me for 4 days. When I got there, and I told Jess, she said, "Why are you going?" And I have to get out of here. We need to be safe. I stopped by, I land the plane, and let me tell you with this dude, let me show you the first Uber guy that shows up and starts looking in his rear view mirror like this, and I'm looking and I'm going, man, he's really looking in the rear view mirror, but he's not saying anything. And I look over as his badge, and he looks just like Scott Adams. In other words, look at me. Yeah, it's me, baby. I tricked you into coming over here. I'm the first one to pick you up. Now go ahead and prove this. You see, it's like operating in full sight, like just like a joke. Like you think you can prove this? Look at how
Yeah.
bright I am. So I'm gonna let me show
Can you
you.
turn up your mic just a little bit
Oh yeah. Um,
or speak into it a little bit? Someone says they can hardly hear you.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let me show you. Um, I thought I was yelling, so I'm glad. I'm glad, so I can actually speak louder.
Yeah, speak louder.
Speak louder. Okay. So let me show you this right here. Oops. This is was waiting for me. He actually had a guy with an Uber, which it doesn't take much, an Uber tag, and actually he had my phone, so he knew when I was going to go there. Watch, let me check this out. Share screen, window, entire screen. Okay, okay. Look at that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
That's
these people are evil. They're
yeah.
just,
And his eyes, I didn't show his eyes only because this is an actor. There's
yes,
no way.
they
Yeah.
pay actors. Yes.
But I will show you the one without him, without this blocks, just between me and you'll see that he has eyes like Scott Adams. This guy, Scott Adams, went through out of his way to find this guy so that he could show up in there. And then when we came back, he was in a Tesla. In other words, oh, you didn't find Musk? You didn't find Musk? And I don't think Musk had any idea what's going on. I mean, I know he knows about the program. He has to.
Oh,
Because
yeah. He's part of it. He's definitely a Mason.
yeah,
Musk is a Mason. I bet you this guy, Scott Adams was too.
okay, I'll look into that. So this is what was finding me. And then I told him, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I'm gonna jump out of this car going 50 miles per hour if you do anything. I arrived at my location, which was at Bastra, which was at the Boring Loop, where where X was at. And so I'm going in there and I'm like, I need to talk to Elon Musk because, I'm thinking, even if there wasn't a job here, uh, there was communication because he liked my post, and then his mom liked my post, one of my posts the very next day, right? And it was about him being the tip of the spear, the tip of the spear. And when I went to the boring loop, got to the it's called that. It's like a street or something like that.
Okay.
I went there and I said, I need to talk. And the security guy says, there's nobody here on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, I really need to talk somebody in here. And I'm being quiet, right? And then I go over to the cafe and then I told her, look, there's a guy, the lady, I'm like, there's a guy who's trying to kill me. I don't know if you know Scott Adams. And I'm like, this guy, please give this note to Elon Musk because I'm here and I have nowhere to go. And he's trying to kill me. And I went outside and I'm thinking, oh, we're going to, she says, we're going to close. And I'm like, I have nowhere to go. You know what I mean? I have nowhere to go. I just got picked up by a guy who looks just like Scott Adams. It's a joke. If I try to go to a hotel, are they going to try to kill me? So I was out there in the freezing cold, and then this huge black truck comes in and then just shines its light at me right here.
Yeah.
And it just stayed there. Nobody ever got out or anything like that. And
Yeah.
I stayed. And then after an hour or something, then it just left. It did nothing but stay there. Like just to, just
Intimidate you. It's
right.
to intimidate you. Yes.
So I walked across to what I believe was, I forget, it wasn't Stargates, whatever's across that Boring Loop cafe. And then the security guards kicked me out. And I'm trying to escape somebody. Please just let me stay here under the lights because this guy's trying to hurt me. No, you have to get out of here. You have to get out of here. And I'm like, I will stay with you. You know what I mean? Just there's somebody who's trying to kill me. And then I'm like, okay, there's a Scott Adams. I'm like, you're not going to know who Scott Adams is, right? I mean, it's not that famous, right? And
Yeah.
so I said, he's trying to kill me. And they said, get out. I don't care. Get out. Go. And then I was scared and I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, they're telling me to go down this, there's nothing but darkness over there. And they're telling me to go down the street and I just got picked up by a guy who looks like Scott Adams and they're going to try to kill me. And she's like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. This is really happening. You know what I mean? And she's like, Scott Adams, you think Scott Adams is after you? And everybody thinks you're crazy. Because
Right. I
really,
mean, but yeah, no, we're not. We know what's going on here and it's not okay.
yeah. So I started walking, and then I end up at a telephone pole, and I'm under the lights, and then I'm way away from the entrance, and then he's like, "Go, get out, go, keep walking that way," and I'm like, "Just let me stay here. I'm not doing anything. I'm not even on your property. Go." And so I started walking, and then the police came, and then they told me, and they said, "Give me your let me see your license." And I'm like, I'm not showing you my license,
Yep.
dude.
Don't.
I'm
Yeah.
walking.
Never do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're over. I'm already over here. I'm already walking this way. I'm on nobody's property. Let me go. And they're like, we're gonna take you in. If you don't give us your license, we're gonna take you in. And I'm like, I'm not giving you my license. I'm like, this is insane,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking they're gonna take me in, and they were, you think everybody, when you have this level of insanity, there is nobody that you trust. You're like, this guy has so much money. Look how he set this all up. You
Yep.
know, I'm thinking, this, and so they looked at. I said, I give you my license. You let me go. Yes. And I started walking. And then I said, screw it. I'm gonna call up an Uber. I get an Uber, and the guy in it is going like this. He's like this, and I go, are you an actor? And he's like this, and I'm like, unbelievable, unbelievable. It's just another actor. He didn't answer me at all. And they dropped me off at a hotel, and there's a white trash display right there. And then I'm like, it's Scott Adams yet again, because he had just put on a white, like he said, I'm going, it's a costume. This is my costume. And you'll see it. I have a picture of it where he's wearing a bunch of trash. And he said, this is my Halloween costume. This is what I'm going at. White trash. And as soon as I walk in the hotel, this is the effort they go through to play tricks, to get off on it. And there's a white trash display right there. And then I keep walking, and then there's a blue flame award, a cobalt blue, really bright cobalt blue, and it's a huge flame, which later on, I said, is there any award for hotels that involve a cobalt blue flame? None. There are no awards. He had this thing maced up just to laugh at me, right? When I got in there. And so when I got in there, I went and the lamp had a device installed that went and then knock, like the door, like the knock,
Yep.
the
Yep.
knock. And I'm like, it's in the lamp. He put something in the lamp. And I'm thinking, I got to get out of here now. I got to get out of here because I don't think Elon Musk is going to be able to help me. He's a massive billionaire.
And he's part of it, and he's not going to help us. We're going to have to help ourselves.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And he blocked me. So, I mean, my account is completely blocked. So, it's a guy that railed against super intelligence. You know what I mean? He told us that that was his greatest fear. And then when it comes down to it, the worst program that is actually reminiscent of super intelligence, and you're going to just shut people down.
Yeah.
So the next day, there were people going inside in the front of the hotel, and they were stopping with the cars, and they were looking towards my direction. And I'm thinking, okay, they're taking pictures. And I'm like, what are you taking pictures? They're taking pictures right at me, right? Again, actors. I go to a Walmart, and it was a fake Walmart. And there were people acting like they knew me, like going like this. And I'm like, this is incredible. And when I went out and I looked outside, which I took a picture of, it was the Walmart symbol, but one of the lines was out and it was orange. And I'm like, this guy rented half of a Walmart for this. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And there was one, and I'm like, he knew how much I cared about my cat, and I said, I'm gonna buy a toy for my cat, for my kitten. And I looked at the back of the product, and there was only one toy there, and it was this little sushi thing for which she plays with. And I looked at the back, and it was a shape of the front of where my window was. So the shape of the whole outline of, like, the roundabout, it was the
Yep.
shape as a barcode. As a barcode, because he knew I would get it, because this is the joke. Hey, look, watch this guy get this exactly what I think he's gonna do, right?
Yes.
And
It's a psychological torture program where they're going to guess what you're going to do next and then put something in. I've experienced this several times. It's crazy. I mean, it just is evil. I mean, that's all I can say. And they're
Yeah.
spending billions of dollars on doing this to people. And you want to know who it is? Mostly the people that didn't comply with the pandemic. That's who.
Yeah, yeah. This is all about fear, installing fear, because you cannot be susceptible to this level of telepathy and be ingrained and hold on to a program like this unless it involves a light at the end of the tunnel. And this thing is brutal with light at the end of the tunnel. They pretend
Yep.
to be helpful telepaths who end up stabbing you in the back later on. It is constant. It's constant. And then, like it said, go downstairs, and Elon Musk, he knows about your situation. He's going to help you out. And then when I go down there, I'm not going to go downstairs because, I already said that unless I see him, then I'm going to, then I'm not going to go down there. And then he goes, I'm just kidding. I'm not Adrian Dittman. He was pretending to be Adrian Dittman, like an
Yeah.
undercover thing. You're a fucking idiot. Like,
They
you're
wanted me to have a crush on Elon Musk. That's how sick it is. It's just like, no, he's got like 20 kids and not with the same woman. Like he's a hooker, basically, a gigolo.
What is it about Elon Musk that this program uses so much?
Because I think that it has a lot to do with his Starlink. I think it has a lot to do with his satellites and the mesh technology. But the large language thing is interesting because I didn't even think about that until you talked about it.
Yeah. Which one?
The large language model.
The large language model. Well, he has Grok, and it's placed within.
Yeah.
Within,
But I think it's part of the mesh network. They're like, oh, we don't need these 5G towers anymore, really.
Yeah.
But, so I don't know. Your story's incredible, though, and I want you to come back and
Oh,
talk about this because you did hit almost a lot of everything that you're saying here. because there's the Boring Loop Cafe, and you have a question mark right after Starling. He is part of it. He wants to get empathy from people in this telepathy program, as you're referring to it, so that we don't look at him as a bad guy when he is one.
Okay. I haven't gotten that far yet, like, because he's talked about super intelligence and he warned people for so long, Kimberly. This is a thing.
I know.
And he said they're not listening. And so, like, I haven't gone so far to say that he's part of it because I can't prove that. And I need to be able
Right.
to be able to say it. So the thing is that he's railed against super intelligence, but at the same time, he's not allowing any kind of communication to leave my account. And then the program's telling me, well, that's to protect you. They're there to protect you. They've been saying that from the beginning. Oh, your message is not going to protect me. Well, you are a program made to destroy me, so I'm not going to believe you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I had no choice. This thing goes on. So okay. So we're gonna. Yeah. There's a lot here. I haven't even. We haven't even gotten into how the program works. But
Leave
it's
it
all
right there for a second and let people look at that, and so that they can kind of do their own. So you've got the telepathy, the tinnitus, which I had, and they're like, oh, it's just tinnitus or tetanus, and I'm like, no, it's not. Then you got the V2K, the directed energy weapon, time and proximity, prevention, belief. You got your timeline, then you've got vibrations, stress-induced states, dreamcraft, visuals. Yeah.
Yeah, all of
And
the Dreamcraft is insane. When I close my eyes, I can't go to sleep anymore. I have the perception of these globes that have like an ether built into them, like the
I've
Sith.
seen them. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they stay and things show up in my viewport that are not even correct, like a bookcase with less shelves than it normally was with the product I don't even have. It'll show up in there, and like I even wrote. I'll save it for next time, but it's they don't only take, they also take the hypnagogic state that you go into, and you can see the flows in the eye, where they're trying to lead you down. So I can't put my head down without going to sleep, because the flow of the is supposed to put you in a hypnotic state.
Yep.
It's absolutely insane, and all of this is in his book, the package in his book, for anybody who wants to read a lot. I don't know anything about V2K, but I bet you all of this stuff has to do with V2K. This is all personal
Yes.
experience. Just haven't had
Yeah.
time. I've been so
Yeah.
busy trying to recall stuff, and
Yeah,
God,
you did a great job. I'm impressed, and I appreciate you coming on and spending 2 hours of your time um, talking about Scott Adams. Because, like I said, the only time I really knew what he looked like was when he was telling the non-vaxxers that they were right and he was dying of cancer.
yeah,
And it wasn't in a very compassionate way. It was in a very snarky, sarcastic way. It was very interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it was, and he said that he wasn't for the vaccine. He actually was the first couple of days. He was lying about that, because
Yeah.
I distinctly remember him trying to push it when he said he was going on a girlfriend. He says, "Oh, it's for me and my wife." Christina was like half his age, and then later on he said he wasn't, and I'm thinking to myself, the two reasons why I believe that I was placed here by God is to go after this guy in this program, and
Yep.
because I let him go on free will, and I let him go on free speech. He said, government can't support free speech. And I said, you don't mean that, right? You're just being salacious. No, there's no free will. Oh, you don't mean that. You mean, because I can bang my head against something if I want to. That's clearly free will. And that's why I think I'm here. But anyways, this is what I do, and this is all I'm going to do. And I'm going to destroy this program,
Yeah.
and death threats and all of this stuff, and I'm not backing down. Like I told
Good.
him, I'm going to die on my feet before I die on my knees. There's zero way that I'm going to give up. You picked the wrong dude. There's got to be more angels out there. Not angels, but you know what I mean? People
Oh,
that,
I said this same exact thing that you just said. I
yeah,
said you picked the wrong woman,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm not backing down. Yeah.
Absolutely. They should not have messed with us.
Okay, Anthony.
Okay.
I got to get back on here at 5 to do an American State National Live,
Okay.
but stay strong.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.